second city, but first in every team. Champion town, got trophies and them rings. Bulls on tap, we coming for everything. Yeah. Tap sports, we coming for everything. Yeah. It's apparent, nobody talking better than Melissa and Derek. They hate to compare it. Us and women's placed in the marriage, forever we cherish. Got opinions on the Bulls, who better to share it. I know you wish you can be cool as we foolishly and never be number one against our legends 2 and 3. Don't act like y'all don't know who you hear, who you see. Bulls on tap sports. Y'all know who we be, for real, word.
What's up, Bulls Nation? Welcome to a very special episode of the Bulls on Tap podcast. As you see, we have a 3-time NBA champion, the lead color commentator for CHSN's Bulls broadcast, voice of the Bulls, nickname extraordinaire, knows catchphrases, host of the Give Me the Hot Sauce podcast, my big homie, my big brother, Stacey King. Stacey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up? Before I even get started, I was listening to the music, the introduction. I thought I was at a club. I'm like, damn, boy, y'all done moved up, boy. Y'all like the Jeffersons. Y'all done moved up on the west side, boy, all the way to the top.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Castaway Music and Backpack Beats hooking us up with the
nice,
intro.
Man. I was like, that's a nice intro, bro. Nice. They did a good job.
You hooked it up.
Yeah, they did. That was nice. They were nice.
Now, of course, I'm your host, Derek, and subbing in for my usual co-host, Melissa, is my guy, Morris. Morris, what's up?
I'm chilling, man. I'm excited to be here and honored again. Just to be able to sit here with, as far as I'm concerned, Bulls legend. I told Stacey before we got on, man, like I start in earnest. My first real serious Bulls fandom started with Stacey King's rookie season, and it means the world to me because, obviously, throughout that whole span of the 90s, everybody, MJ was on a whole another world. Happy birthday, MJ, today. Pippen was on another level. But for me, I have personal attachment to so many of the reserves, especially in particular that first championship. So, you, Stacey, BJ, Craig Hodges, Cliff Levingston, those were personal heroes to me. So it just means the world to be able to sit here and just have a conversation with you.
I appreciate it, man. I'm honored, and I appreciate the love. Those are some good teams, man. Championships are hard to come by, man. They're earned and not bought. So those made those teams special. It made this organization special, made the city special, gave us some bragging rights for a long, long time, and so I was very lucky to be part of those championship runs and being part of history in Chicago.
Yeah, the bragging rights that we wish that we still had, but you know how that goes. But this All-Star break and All-Star weekend just wrapped up. Stacey, what did you think about the new format?
It's terrible, absolutely terrible. Listen, I understand what they're trying to do. I get it. It's an easy fix. Tell the players to play hard and compete. That's an easy fix. People want to see basketball. All the entertainment and everything they did yesterday. The halftime acts who would normally be halftime, they're coming on at the end of quarters or in the middle of the game. We got comedy going on. It was like one big circus, and there was too much stuff to focus on, if you ask me. And the main thing that you want to focus on is the product itself, which is NBA basketball. And I think they got away from that yesterday. I was waiting for Willy Wonka to come sliding down a pole or somewhere, and with the Oompa Loompas doing dunks on trampolines. I mean, that was the only thing they were missing yesterday. And you could see the players were very frustrated with, starting and stopping and waiting. You saw some of them telling them to speed the game up. So I don't think it had the impact or effect that they had set out to do. And like I said, if you really want to change things, you got to get the players to compete against each other. Let's see who's the best. Let's see which conference is the best. Let's put my game against your game like it used to be. It's gotten away from that. It's gotten more to that, let's not play any defense. Well, they don't play defense now anyway, so it's no different in the All-Star game. But let's just go out and do dunks, run around, and jack up threes, and it's just unwatchable. And the game itself has become that. It's not just the All-Star game. The viewership is down for a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons is it's the beauty of the game is gone. The passing, the cutting, the precision, the innovation, the creativity, all that stuff is gone. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to be creative just to come down and jack up a 30-footer. It takes more to devise a plan, and the defense devises plans to stop you. What can we run offensively to get our guys shots every single time? That game's gone. And a lot of fans are turned off by it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Well, that's I listen to you. I watch a lot of Bulls games, and I feel like you hit those points pretty consistently, night in night out, Stacey. As far as like where today's game has evolved compared to previous generations. And I guess like the first thing, there's actually a lot of questions I have that I'm curious about, but like, are there still any basketball fundamentals left in today's NBA game from your point of view?
I think there's certain teams that have fundamentals that stress fundamentals. Normally, your better teams do. You can tell, you watch Denver play, and the passing and the cutting, the precision passing that Jokic does, that leads to easy baskets, guys. That's where the game used to be. That's an old school game. Now, granted, Denver shoots threes like everybody else, but if you watch Denver play, they cut you up offensively. They move the ball, they hit the first open man you see, and Jokic is an out of this world passer. He gets everybody's shots, he gets everybody involved, and that's the kind of game you want to see. Golden State's very similar too. They do a lot of passing and cut. Steve Kerr uses a lot of variations of the triangle. Which is the triangle is one of the best offenses ever created. Shout out to the late great Tex Winter. That offense won 8 titles. And maybe not. I take it back. 11. They might have won
11 because
titles.
you also the Lakers 3-peat.
Yeah, so you're
really
talking about
all 5.
You're talking about probably 11 championships, and that offense was amazing. Passing, the cutting, the precision, taking advantage of matchups. You had the game plan against that. You really had to spend practice time trying to stop that offense. And what made that offense so beautiful, and what makes it viable in today's game, you don't have to call plays. Like if you want to call a 1-5 pick and roll between the center and the point guard, you call, you say 1-5 pick and roll, 1-5 side. You call out plays. If you want to send a guy off a single double, like the 2 guard, you say, okay, let's go 2, 2, 3, 2 off the 3-4 twist. So that means he's coming off the side of off the side where the 3-4 is, and he's going to come off the single double side, which that would be the double side because you'd have 2 guys there, and then he twist into a catch and shoot jump shot, or he twist and get to the other side and get another shot. So there's always plays called, but in the triangle, you couldn't load up on defense against that because it was all read and react. And you have to have high basketball IQ. You have to think the game because the defense dictates in that offense how you're going to run it. If they take a pass away, they take option 1 away, what do you do? They take option 1 and 2 away, what do you do? And everyone who ran that triangle to perfection and were on all those championship teams understood where the options were, what we were trying to get. And if you took something away, you automatically knew where the ball was supposed to go.
As a follow-up to that, what was that experience like? Because correct me if I'm wrong, your rookie season, that's also Phil Jackson's first season as head coach. Yes. So like the triangle, that's also being installed at the same time. Like how much of a 180, or like what was the difference between like the things that you were running when you were in in Oklahoma in college, and then having to start to absorb like the concepts and the reads and triggers and things like that in the triangle?
Well, trust me, we didn't run no damn triangle in college. We just throw the ball inside and let me shoot. It was very simple. I was kind of like the Michael Jordan of college. I got about 20 shots a game, and it was, ball always went inside first, and then, if I got doubled, I'd find shooters. So we played the inside, outside game. I came to the Bulls. We all learned the triangle at the same time. They got away from the isolation ball with MJ going, 1-on-4. They wanted to incorporate a system that everybody was a threat, because back in those days, you used to take two guys and put them on one side of the court and say, we call it stand in the parking lot. So you stand in the parking lot while the other three guys going against the other three guys, and there's illegal defenses, and you couldn't come over so far. So you basically playing 3 versus 3. So Tex Winter had been working with Phil, and they thought, hey, this would be a great offense. It'd make Michael more efficient. He wouldn't have to work as hard to average what he averages, and he'd still be dangerous in isolation through that offense. And he was. Michael was much more efficient scorer in the triangle than he was when he wasn't in it. He had to work, to get, 30, 40, 50 points before triangle. But when the triangle came along, he was able to go inside. He became a better inside player. He became a much better, slasher, catch and shoot guy. The ball was in his hands. And then when the triangle, the good thing about the triangle is, like, when all else fails, we got an ace in our sleeve. We can give him the ball. If we can't get a shot and the shot clock's winding down, it's 4 seconds to go on the shot clock, you could always toss that ball to 23 and say, go get it. And he would go get it. The same thing with Scotty. You do the same thing with Scotty. Shot clock winding down. You had two options that you could go to on the perimeter that if the triangle broke down, they can go get you buckets. And that's what also made it very special. Same thing with Kobe. When Kobe was in the triangle, he could get a shot anytime he wanted to when the shot clock was winding down. And let's say the triangle is not unguardable. I mean, you can guard it, but it's always great to have those guys that can break the triangle and get you some points when needed.
For sure.
Right. It was a good defense against you, right, Stacey? Phil's the only guy that played defense on you.
Yeah. Oh, PJ's the only one who can stop me, baby. He's the only one who can guard me, baby. Shut me down. It was all defense, baby.
Yeah, Stacey, that's a question too. Like, this has been a dream question I've wanted to ask forever, and like I'm excited I get to ask this question. One of the things I think about when I think back to your '90s Bulls teams, the first three-peat and even the second three-peat. So much of today's NBA over the last decade, because of the Warriors dynasty and what Steve Kerr has done, it's put this whole concept of small ball to the forefront. In a lot of ways, I feel like the Dynasty Bulls I feel like they're unsung pioneer of playing smaller, not necessarily small ball per se, but there was something about that Bulls dynasty, like that first three-peat with you guys, like it really represented, to me, in my opinion, a shift of the offensive power structure in the NBA, where all the previous dynasties before the Bulls, like it was predicated on a center who was a primary offensive threat, right? Like you had Kareem, you had Parrish within that Celtics front line, you had Moses Malone, but it was, I don't know, just my opinion, like it seemed like the Bulls brought perimeter game to the forefront of the NBA to where like that was a viable strategy, because even thinking back to when Jordan was drafted, like there were debates about like why would you pick Jordan over like what Sam Bowie, right? Or like, the prevailing logic back in the early 80s was like you draft bigs first.
Yeah, I mean, you go back in that era, Don Nelson really created small ball. I mean, he was the one who kind of incorporated that in his system by going with, some small guys. And then he would force you to have to match up to his style of play if you didn't want to get ran out of the building. What we did, we countered that. Like anytime we played Golden State or any team that Don Nelson had, anytime you went small, we came out with versatile forwards. We had, myself, Scott Williams, Horace Grant. We were all versatile enough to be able to guard smaller guys, move our feet, slide on the perimeter, not be overmatched, because you're normally going up against a small guy who might be 6'6", 6'7". That's not a hard matchup for, 6'10" guys. We're all athletic. We can all guard. Cliff Levingston, throw his name out there as well. We could go out there and we're interchangeable parts. So we could go small, but we went more wing heavy, more wing versatile players compared to let's just go put 3 or 4 guards out there. And I think if there's a team out there in the NBA that could do that, I think that would be so effective here. I mean, you imagine playing, let's just look at the Bulls lineup right now. I'm just going to use them as an example with a lineup like this. You want to go big. You can go Josh Giddey, or you can go Lonzo at the point, 6'6". You got Kobe 6'5" at the two guard. Then you throw in maybe Giddey at the six, Giddey or Modest at the small forward. Patrick Williams as your power forward, your five-man sticks. Look at the versatility of that lineup. If you were to roll that lineup out on the floor, that everybody's switchable. Everybody can guard everybody on the perimeter. There's some, of course, if you throw Giddey out there, his defense is not as good as the rest of the four guys out there, but he gives you length and size that is versatile enough for him to be out there. So you could put any of those combination of guys out there that could cause havoc. They could cause havoc. And I think teams have kind of gotten away from that, thinking that way, because it's the three ball generation now. Most wings can't shoot threes. So you won't see that kind of lineup out there. But if I was a head coach out there, I would have me a lineup out there of versatile forwards that for about, maybe 10, 15 minutes a game, I would put out there with their length and their size, trap, rotate, try to speed the game up, get in transition. And I think that lineup would be a killer lineup, especially if the Bulls, if I went, Lonzo at 6'6", and then I threw, Kobe at 6'5", throw Modest out there at 6'10", you get, Patrick Williams, another 6'9" guy, and then Sticks out there, as a 6'11" dude. Think about how that lineup would look out there as far as the versatility and athleticism you'd have out there.
Yeah, I don't know why the Bulls don't try to run that lineup.
Well, people have their, and I'm not taking those shots at the Bulls. Everybody has the way they coach. Everybody has their system they want to run. I coached at the CBA for like 6 years. So I was always innovative. I always wanted to try different stuff. I didn't want to just be like everybody else. I'm the same way as a broadcaster. I don't want to be like everybody else. You have to create your own lane. You have to create your own system that works for you, that works for your players. And that's hard to do sometimes because, in this job, coaches are hired to be fired, so a lot of coaches may not want to take that chance to do those kind of lineups, because that might they might feel like it's not productive. It may get you fired. So they want to concentrate on things that they feel works for them. And you can't blame them. But it's going to take somebody with innovation to go out there and create a style of play that's going to kind of mess up the game a little bit, because you throw that lineup out there, tell me you're going to get 3-point shots on that lineup. You don't even got to switch. You just play man to man. How you gonna get 3-point shots on a lineup that's big and that athletic? And imagine this. This is just wishful thinking. Let's say we get the number one pick next year, okay? And we take Cooper Flagg or we take the Ace Bailey kid. I'm just gonna say Cooper Flagg because he's consensus number one. We got number one pick. You imagine having a lineup next year with Lonzo Ball, 6'6" point guard, Kobe, Modest, Cooper Flagg as your four, and then you throw, whoever else you want out there as a five. Could you imagine that lineup out there? Not only are you athletic, big and athletic, it'd be a fun team to watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think pretty much all the Bulls fans would agree that.
I'm just wishful thinking, but you still can do it with this team. You can do it with the current team you have right now. Because right now it's a perfect time to see what you got because you're playing to develop these kids. You're playing to give them as much experience as possible right now. You're not playing. Yeah, if they got to the playoffs, it'd be great. Because we already got our pick back, so it doesn't matter. And it would do wonders for their confidence if they did make the playoffs. But let's be realistic. The way they played the last few games, it doesn't look like it's going that direction. Let's just be honest. But, at the same time, why not try some different stuff? Why not go out there and try out different lineups? How about go big sometimes? Put Sticks at the 4 and Vooch at the 5. You got Zach Collins out there as a backup. He can come in and back up. How about that? A lot of times, the Bulls, because I think we had success with Alex Caruso last year playing power forward. And I think that's one of the reasons why he was hurt a lot because he was out of position. So, And I think Billy feels like that works. So there's nights we trot out 4 guards, on defense, and then we get out rebounded. We find ourselves giving up second chance opportunities because it's hard asking a player who's not used to guarding someone bigger than them to have to, all right, Kobe, I need you to go down there and guard Giannis. Like, he'd be looking at you like, what? I might be able to guard him for like a second, but I don't want to do this all night. You know what I'm saying? So, it's tough to ask guards to do that. Alex Crusoe is a different animal. I mean, he played like a power forward. He played tough. That was the one guy, if you said could do that, he could do it. Zoe could do it. But that's again, that's not their natural positions. They shouldn't have to do that. You should have bigs to be able to do that. I'm always, because I'm a big. I'm always gonna ride with the big guys. You can't tell me
Yeah,
you don't have some big guys to go out there. If all they can do is rebound and take up space, we got some of those.
yeah. Actually, so just to piggyback on that, Stacey, I'm curious, like, yeah, because I mean, that's your role. That's as a player, you mentioned it. You're a versatile big. You're able to be 4 or 5, depending on what the situation called for. As we think about what today's NBA is, and sort of in the context of, quote unquote, the league is now supposed to be positionless, and also like specifically for the Bulls, and because we've seen these runs of, Caruso as a 4. We've had Javonte Green's 4 over the last few seasons. What is a power forward in 2025 NBA as you look across the league? What is that now? What is that role?
I look at it as being a tweener. I mean, what we used to call tweeners in our generation. You see guys transitioning from small forward that've been small forwards their whole life. Now, as they're getting older, they're transitioning to a stretch four. So there is really no difference between the stretch four and the small forward position, other than you're asked to guard a bigger guy. You're asked to guard, a much more physical person at the 4 compared to the 3. The 3 is a more skilled person. Kevin Durant, if you in his prime, he's a small forward. LeBron James in his prime, he's a small forward. Now you see these guys later in their career, they're stretch forwards now. And so the big man is the big power forwards, the guys like, a Karl Malone and, a Tim Duncan, and those guys don't exist anymore in this league. You don't have those guys. You don't have those overpowering bigs that you go, oh my God, this guy's going to be a tough one tonight. You don't have it because most of these guys are all small forwards converted into power forwards.
Right. That poses the question about Modest, because you're saying where the Bulls want him to like put on 10 pounds because they want to like get him into that power forward position. But I think it would probably be best if he plays the 3 and like Durant and LeBron just naturally grow into the power forward as as his career continues.
I've been saying that all along. He's too skilled. The kid can handle the ball. He's worked on his 3-point shooting. He's only going to get better. He's a gym rat. He picks up things very quickly. I think that the areas that he's got to work on, and I think, that will take his game to another level. He's got to get stronger, which he will. You got to remember, he just turned 20 years old. He hasn't really been on a weight program. He hasn't really, no one's really taken him in and said, hey, I want you to do this to get stronger. You don't want him to put on so much weight that it takes away from his athleticism. You want him to gradually grow into his body. I'm a big fan of him playing small forward. You watch him out there on the floor. There, early people say, "Oh, you can't dribble, can't dribble." I don't know what kid they've been watching, because every time I see him, he crosses somebody over. He's drag stepping through. He's getting to the rim at will anytime he wants to. He's going behind the back dribbling. Is there areas he can work on to become a better ball handler? Oh yeah. I mean, we got some guards on our team that need to work on their ball handling. And if he's willing to work in the summer, which I know he is because he's a gym rat, he will be a much better player at the end of the season and then going into next year than what he was at the beginning of the season. It's a natural progression, because think about this. If he'd have been playing early in the season, I mean, no telling where he'd be right now, because, Billy said, you got to play defense, yada, yada, yada. And I understand that, you got to earn minutes. You got to earn minutes. And it's always been like that in this league. But I from what I've seen, when he comes out on the floor, numbers wise, he's the Bulls' best defensive player. If you really look at, protecting rim protection, block shots, He's the Bulls' best interior defensive player, and it shows in the numbers. It's been widely put out there. He's one of the top 5 in the league, and that's like with Kevin Durant and all these other guys in there with him. He's number 1 as far as rim protection and defense. And so I don't know why he's not on the floor, but he's on the floor now, and he's starting, and he's averaging double figures. And if he can finish up strong these last 27 games, he's got a chance to be, a first team all rookie, or at least be on the second team. He probably should have been playing in well, I know he got in there with injury, but he should have been voted in there as a one of those young rising stars kids. But the kid is a joy to be around. He works extremely hard. He's got a great attitude. He's very respectful of the veterans. He every time yes sir, no sir to me, I'm like, dude, stop. No, come on, man, I ain't that old. So he's just very well-mannered man. You just want to see that kid have so much success.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I've been a big advocate, big proponent of Miles' defense, really going all the way back to summer league. So I've written, I'll plug 2 of my columns about Miles. I wrote a column about what he did in summer league, just breaking down like defensively what he was doing, because I thought his defensive signals were already there during summer league, in terms of like just being able to like be a very like mobile defender, weak side defender, right? The way he rotated, the way he could be a weak side defender at the rim. I thought that popped pretty immediately. But yeah, Stacey, even like the metrics that people have been talking about lately in terms of like Miles' block percentages and what he's like, you see what his defensive effective field goal rate percentage.
He's leading the team in blocks and has less minutes than everybody.
Exactly.
So, but here's the thing. Here's the thing about rookies coming in. When rookies come in this league, I played 4 years at a big time college, University of Oklahoma. Went to the Final Four, played for national championship, played with NBA players. The hardest transition for young players, I don't care if you're 19, I don't care if you're 21, 22 years old, is the defensive concepts of how to play defense at the pro level. It's a totally different defensive concept than we're used to playing in college. In college, it's like just go rebound and block shots. See the ball, help when you can, but in defense, man, in the pro game, there's so many different calls. Every time down the floor might be a different call defensively. And as a young player, you already come in this league at 1,000 miles a minute anyway. Okay. So when you got a coach yelling different coverages defensively, it's like, being a football player, the coaches, you got the helmet on, they're telling you what to do. And, the game is going 100 miles a minute. And so as a young player, you're trying not to make mistakes instead of just playing. You're trying not to make mistakes. You're trying to be where you're supposed to be. But there's going to be times where you're not where you're supposed to be. There's going to be some times where you're going to be completely out of the play and the guy's going to get a dunk or a layup or whatever, and you're going to get in trouble. You're going to hear from the coach. And that's what they're supposed to do, because you're supposed to learn. Oh, there's my killer dogs. They're protecting the president right now. So it's okay, guys. You're off right now. Nobody's coming in here. We're good.
That's a perfect segue, Stacey, because there's something that like I wanted to come back to your playing days, right? Because we talk about the Dynasty Bulls. We're always talking about Tex Winter and the triangle offense, rightfully so. But I think an equally important aspect of what made the Dynasty, right, is that Doberman defense. Like, can you talk, just help? I think fans need to appreciate that and understand that it wasn't just all about the triangle. Like the level of defense that y'all played with the quote unquote Doberman defense, just like conceptually or schematically, like what were those things like, especially again when you talk about learning the calls at the pro level?
Well, the thing about it is there has to be a commitment to defense, number one. Okay. Everybody's got to be committed to playing defense. You can't just have one or two guys. Your whole team has to be committed to the defense. We had a great defensive coach in Johnny Bach, the late great Johnny Bach, and he's the one that created the Doberman defense. He's the one that had everybody take pride in their defense. And we had some prideful guys. And anything that you do, and I say this about this league now, if your number one guy is your hardest worker, your top players are your hardest worker, everybody follows suit. Okay. If your number one and number two are the guys that don't work hard, your team's not going to have success. So Michael Jordan took pride in his defense individually. Like he tried to kill you. He made sure I'm gonna kill you on the offensive end, and then I'm gonna embarrass you on the defensive end. And that's how he approached every single night. Scotty was the same way. Scotty had that same mentality. I'm gonna score on my end, but then I'm gonna shut you completely down on the other end. So now you got those two guys. You got Bill Cartwright guarding some of the best centers in the game, Hall of Fame centers, shutting them down. You know, John Paxson doesn't even get credit to being a great individual defensive player. I mean, you're shutting guys down like Mark Price. You're shutting Isaiah Thomas down. You're slowing these Hall of Fame players down where they might get 30, 35 on someone and come and play. You only get 15, 16. So some people might say, well, he didn't really do anything. Okay, let Isaiah score 35 on you and see if you win. We don't win those games if our guys don't play defense. So as young pups, you know, we're young Dobermans. We, you know, the adult Dobermans was killing already, you know, so we had to come and in order to play on, you know, to get on the floor, it wasn't about your offense. To play on them championship teams, you had to be a very good defensive player, and that's the only way you get on the floor. So, you know, we were all tied and connected. You know, we watched a lot of film. We studied. You know, we had scouting reports that we took seriously. You know, we got a scouting report every game. You know, we had to not. I had to know not only what my guys doing. I had to know two positions. I had to know what centers do, what power forwards do. Everyone on your roster that plays those positions, I had to know. I had to know what point guards when they come off the screen, which guy likes to split the traps. You know, which guy likes to pull up if you go underneath. So you had to know pretty much what everybody did. And so when everybody's locked in that way, um, you know, it's a beautiful thing to watch, you know, because we took pride in our defense. You know, it wasn't just roll the balls out there and let Michael score all the points and we're going to win with him outscoring everybody, because that didn't work the first 7 years that he played. Then you get a commitment. You get a commitment defensively. You get the right players to play the defense that you want. I had free reign to trap anytime I wanted full court. Anytime we scored a bucket, if I wanted to get up and just cause havoc with the guard, I could do it. Phil gave me, Scott Williams, Horace, we could go trap anytime we wanted to in a full court situation. So we scored a free throw. Most teams you watch in today's game, they go back on defense. I would turn up and go, I look at Fields, go get him. Then I get on the ball, you know, try to harass the ball coming in. And once that ball came in, you know, BJ, Pax, whoever was playing the point guard spot, I'm gonna trap him with you. We're gonna trap and get the ball out of his hands and then force that big guy to bring the ball up. And that's the whole concept that we wanted. We're not trying to get turnovers. What we're trying to do is get the ball out of your point guard's hands and make someone else initiate the offense that's not comfortable initiating the offense, like a power forward. They throw a ball back to my man. Now he got to bring the ball up full court pressure with me working you, trying to steal it from you. So now you get an 8-second call because he's not comfortable bringing that ball up. That's what a little pressure does to teams. If you watch the NBA now, you watch the Bulls. When the Bulls get down, you know, double digits, 20 points or whatever, and they throw a trap on, the team they're playing against acts like they've never seen a trap before. They start turning the ball over, throwing it around. All of a sudden now the Bulls down 20, get back in the game and cut it to 10 because of a little pressure. Teams are not used to pressure. Teams hate pressure, and it's been like that since the turn of time.
Yeah, you talked about having to know like two positions of what their power forward is going to do, what the center is going to do. As you always say, KYP, know your personnel. Is it harder for the players today to like know your personnel with the way that they switch everything? So it's like they would have to know what every player does.
Well, D, let me tell you this. Switching in our day was weak defense. We never switched unless it was same size guys. So if it was Michael and Scotty, they could switch, which they never did because Michael always wanted to guard his guy, Scotty wanted to guard his guy. But if they switched, they were same size guys. MJ 6'6", Scotty 6'7". You never saw a switch, you know, big with Paxson. You never saw a switch. I'm not going to switch on Joe Dumars, and Michael's going to take a power forward. Not going to happen. Stay on your man, fight through screens, square up, know where your help is, funnel them to help if you feel like you're going to get beat. Deny the ball, make him catch the ball further than he wants to catch it. Square up with your feet. You know where your help is. Know if there's a guy in the corner. Know if there's a guy at the top of the circle. What you see now is because everybody's so afraid of the three ball. okay, because it's going up just so frequently. So they feel like switching helps them defend the three ball. Well, and that's what analytics says. This is why I say I need to talk to the analytics people, because when you're switching as much as these teams are switching, okay. So let's just go basic 1-5 pick and roll, okay. Guard versus center pick and roll, okay. So when you switch that, the big goes on the guard, and then the defensive big goes on the offensive, or the guard goes on the big guy. Oh, there's two matchups right there that are mismatches that start you right off the blocks. You're already beat, okay? Because if you got a good big man, he's going to roll down to the post, and he's gonna make you have to double and help out, which leaves shooters open, okay? So that's a mismatch. You also got the mismatch with the guard and the big. If you got a guard, let's say it's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and he's got Vooch on him, okay? He automatically is attacking him because he already knows I one dribble, I'm past this dude. So once I get by him, it's a domino effect, because now everybody's got to come off their guy, the 3-point shooter who you're trying to not allow a 3-point shot. You instinctively have to come and help. So when you come and help, they hit the guy you just left. And then you rotate out, they swing it back, and then someone's wide open every single time. But if guys stayed on their guys, and you stayed on your guys locked in, you help when you can help if you're in position to help, and you close out on shooters. You don't do all that switching, and you stay guarded and connected to people. That's why I don't understand, why they switches, because this league's a copycat league. NBA, whoever is having success at something, all the other teams go, we got to do that too. We got to implement that in our team. But everybody, like I said, the 3-point ball, everybody ain't got Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant on the same team. Okay. We like that, but we don't have it. You might only have one guy that can make threes. Defensively, we got guys like, let's just say a good defensive team would be Miami. Miami's always a very good, solid defensive team. They don't do a lot of switching. They blitz the pick and rolls, they trap, they rotate. That's too hard. That's too hard to do. So teams don't want to do that defense. That's the defense you honestly should copy, but no one wants to do that because it takes too much energy and effort. And be honest with you, coaches don't want to teach that, so they would rather just do the switching. It's easy to switch and switch into denial, and we'll rotate when we have to rotate. But if I was a coach, I'd play a defense the way Miami plays. I would blitz the pick and roll. I would give you different looks. Like when I played, I always hate to be that guy on the yard, get off my yard, But it's true though. It's true, because basketball is basketball. There's no, I mean, the players are different, but the systems are all the same. You can still do system-wise things that we did in the '90s. You can do in this league now. I see variations of the triangle every single night. I see variations of the Doberman defense every single night. It can be done. It's just, do you want to teach it? Do you have the patience to teach it? Do you have the basketball team that has the IQ to pick it up? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, even with I noticed earlier in the season with the Bulls, specifically, this probably will jog. Like, I'm sure you saw this. Or I can't remember if you were covering the game or not. But I'll at least say, like, when I watched the first Magic game the Bulls had this season, the offense made a point to get Vooch running a couple of split actions. And it seemed like that was a refreshing sort of thing I saw in the Bulls offense, in the sense that, like, it was the first time where it wasn't just the full on, like, run and gun, the 3-point stuff. And for me personally, it was kind of disappointing that, like, that hasn't taken a deeper root, because it seems like, stuff like that, those are things that would at least be like somewhat of a good counterbalance for the Bulls offense, where it's like, yeah, the 3 ball isn't hitting right now, so at least, like, let's get into something else. Just, like, get us settled and find a different way to attack it.
Well, I mean, I've always said that. Bulls, sometimes they'll find something that works and then they'll go away from it. And in this league, scoring is hard. It's hard to score in this league. So when you got something that can get you baskets consistently, you ride it until you can't ride it no more. You got a big like Vooch, who's capable of scoring it back to the basket. You come down early in the game. When they do this to Vooch and get him off going early, most likely he's going to have a huge game. We've seen it this year. When they come down and make it a priority to get him touches in the paint and he scores it, he had 30-something against, I don't know who it was, but he's had some 30-point games over the last month because they've made him a priority. And that's how it should be, especially now that Zach is gone and you didn't move him. You got to play through him more now because he was the second leading scorer. Now he becomes the first leading scorer. So when you become the first leading scorer, that means he should get more shots or more touches. And it's not happening. And they've got to change that if they want to stay in these games, if they want to be competitive in these last 27 games, because they got some real tough games coming up. And he's a stabilizer. Fuchs is a stabilizer for this young team. You got to lean on him to help these younger players out. Since we are playing more younger players and getting them out there, you gotta get him and Lonzo. Those guys have to be stabilizers because Kobe is still young to me. Kobe's still learning. So I don't even put him as, even though he's been here now 6 years, I don't consider him a veteran. I still consider him a young player where he's still learning, the nuances of the game, where he's going to get his shot. Is he a point guard? Is he a two? I mean, there's still questions about that. So he's still a young player. But Vooch and you got Vooch, you got Lonzo that are veteran type players that you can utilize to stabilize this team to get them some kind of consistency on the offensive end.
Yeah. Speaking of like something that maybe it would have worked if they had gone back to it, I think was the first game against the Pistons before the break. They ran a 4-5 pick and roll with Modest and Vooch, and Modest got all the way to the rim. It just rolled off, but they didn't run it again. And it was like they didn't show that they could stop that play.
Well, they ran that play. Go back to when we played Milwaukee in the playoffs, the year Lonzo got hurt. They ran that play with Patrick Williams in the playoffs in like game 4 or 5, and that gave Milwaukee problems because it was Giannis and it was Lopez in the pick and roll, and they had to switch that. And Patrick was killing, Lopez on the switch. And I always thought that was a really good way to get Patrick Williams involved and get him a play where he could grow on, And they went away from that. I didn't see that ever again until I just saw him do it with Modest. And now they're running with Modest, and it's like he missed the layup, but then they don't come back to it. It's like you got to keep it going. You got to let him keep getting reps doing that, where he's comfortable handling the ball in the pick and roll, and he's reading defenses when he comes off that pick. Sometimes coaches like, okay, it didn't work that one time, so we're not running again. Well, unless it was he turned the ball and threw it up into the 15th row, or he dribbled off his foot, that play he got all the way to the paint. He just missed it. Yep. So, that's a play I would keep in my playbook. There's a lot of plays they run that work, and then you never see it again. I wish they'd go back to some of the other stuff. But, I'm the armchair point guard. I'm in a cheap seat, man. I know the game. I got high basketball IQ. I know the game. It frustrates me sometimes what I see in today's NBA. I can't say all the things I want to say, on TV. But, when I see something that's not right, I'm going to say it. And some of the things that I see, with this young team, like getting beat by the Pistons, only scoring 29 points in a half. That really pissed me off, because this team is better than that. And you're Chicago. You in Chicago. You don't let nobody come in your house and bully you like that. I don't care if there was a world champion, team coming in. You do not let a team come in here and just take your TV right in front of you, turn it off, steal it. Where's your silverware? Where's your watches? You tell them everywhere to go. Like, I didn't like that at all. And that really, you got to have some pride when you put on that Bulls jersey, man. Like, there's something said about that. This is a tough city. This is a blue-collar city. They love their Bulls. Bulls Nation loves this team, where they're going to ride with this team, good or bad. They're not like typical other fans when, team goes bad, they drop fan base, doesn't want to, support them. So you owe it to the city. You owe it to anybody who's a Bulls fan to come out every single night, bust your ass, leave it on the table. You go back to those Scott Skiles days when they were a scrappy team. They lost games, but people appreciated how they played. They appreciated how hard they worked. These guys are out here trying, and they're out here giving their best effort every night. The Tom Thibodeau teams, played hard every night. Joakim, Taj Gibson, Derrick Rose, Luol Deng, Keith Bogans. I mean, I can go down the list of hard-nosed guys that every single night for 82 games, and you know how Tibbs coach, there's no nights off. So them dudes having to come every single night and bring it. You know, those guys' bodies are broken down now. Kirk Heinrich, those guys' bodies are broken down because they gave so much to this team and this game to come every single night and lay it on the line, man. And that's why they're probably the second most popular group behind the championship teams, if you ask me, as far as the fans are concerned. The fans love that team, that Joakim Noah, Derrick Rose team. They love that team because that team was so close. Even though they didn't get to the finals, they were so close. And they were going up against, a team in Miami that had three Hall of Famers on it. And they almost took, three Hall of Famers against maybe possibly one. Derek should probably be a Hall of Famer. Joakim, I think should also be close to being a Hall of Famer. But we had one legit, and it's like one superhero going up against three superheroes. It's gonna be tough to beat them. But that group of players is loved by the city. They're loved by the city, not because they didn't win or they won a lot of games. It's because they came every night and represented what the city of Chicago is and what it's supposed to be. And that's why they're loved. That's why the championship teams are revered here, is because not because we won championships and those banners are up there. We made this city feel good. We gave this city bragging rights, to say, yeah, New York, y'all ain't the only ones winning. LA, you ain't the only ones winning. We're winning too. We got championships. We got the Bears. Now we got the Bulls. We got the Blackhawks. We got the Cubs now who finally won after 100 some years. They gave the city something to be proud of. And so these young players, man, you got to learn history, bro. You got these kids don't know history. Not just our team, this whole younger generation needs to take some time to understand where they're at and what the history of that team is and understand that. And then maybe their approach is different.
Yeah, Stacey, I want to probe more into that emotion that you just talked about with the back-to-back losses to the Pistons last week. And you played at arguably the peak of the Bulls-Pistons rivalry, and in today's NBA, we really don't have rivalries anymore. I know the NBA tries to market something to that extent, but what I saw on the TV when it was you versus those bad boys Pistons, that was unquestionably a rivalry. Can you just talk about not even the Eastern Conference Final, the playoffs, but just regular season, you about to go to the Palace of Auburn Hills, or the Pistons are coming to the stadium. What is that game day mindset like? What was going through your head at that point? How were you preparing for what you knew was about to happen for 48 minutes that night?
Well, we listen. I didn't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. When I was in college, I used to watch the Bulls on WGN. Horace Grant's twin brother Harvey played with me at Oklahoma, so we'd watch a lot of Bulls games. And I remember watching a game where the Pistons played the Bulls, and Doug Collins got body slammed on the table, I think by Rick Mahorn, and it was a huge fight on the floor, and I was like, man, like this is crazy. Like I'd never seen that before. And then when I got here, I didn't really appreciate the rivalry because I hadn't been in it yet. So we played Pistons in a preseason game, and that was my first introduction to how serious the rivalry was. I think I got ejected like the first 5 minutes of the game. Scott Hastings, who's the broadcaster for the Nuggets, he was playing on the Pistons, and I think they signed him as a free agent. I think he was he's not really a tough guy. He's a good guy, nice guy. But when you get put on that Detroit Pistons, it's like putting on an evil suit. You become one of them. And so he took on that persona, and I was going for a rebound. I was much quicker than him. I was going for a rebound. I'd already beat him down the floor and got a dunk, and so he was a little upset about that. So I was going for a rebound, and I beat him again, and he clotheslined me and threw me to the floor. And I immediately got up, forgot that I was in a Detroit Bulls game, and my reaction was to give him a two-piece. So I swung on him, and they broke it up. I got ejected. The crowd went crazy because they know what the rivalry is, and they said, okay, we got our young pup. He understands it. He knows the history, and I didn't really know the history. I was just retaliating for somebody who did something dirty to me. He just happened to have a Piston uniform on, and then I heard all the crowd cheering, and they were roaring. I was like, are they getting all excited for a technical? I'm getting thrown out, man. And so I'm walking to the locker room, And then, my strength coach, assistant strength coach said, yeah, now you know what it's like. And I was just like, I put it to two together. I said, yeah, okay. And the rivalry, here's what made it a rivalry. You can have a rivalry, two teams. Okay, two teams don't like each other, whatever, yada yada. When it spills over to the fan base, that's a rivalry. When the fans hate you from both sides. Bull fans hate Detroit. They hated Isaiah. Isaiah was from Chicago. They
Yeah.
couldn't stand Isaiah. Chicago people hated Isaiah Thomas. Okay, except his immediate family and friends. The city of Chicago hated him because he was a Detroit Piston. We couldn't even go out in Detroit for dinner. Like that's I'm being honest with you. I've never gone out to dinner in Detroit ever,
Wow.
ever. Even now,
Wow.
even now.
Wow.
There could be some reminiscence. Somebody in the kitchen. Yeah, remember he was on that team that swept us and somebody pours in my lobster or something. Put something in my soup. I'm like, nah, bro. I'm staying in anonymously in my room. I always have a different name on my room. It ain't ever King. It's always like it's a Mr. Jackson. It's Mr. Dinkeldorf. It's always something. So you don't know if you're delivering food, you ain't gonna give me nothing I don't want. You know what I'm saying? So it was heated. It was heated. You when I say rivalries, you could literally get into a fight on the streets. It was that serious. I remember going on an All-Star break, and I was in the Bahamas, and John Sally was there at the same time. We're both checking in at the same hotel, and he's on one end of the hotel. I'm on the other side, and it was like the OK Corral. Like we spotted each other. It was like Tombstone. Like it's like who gonna draw? Okay, we're gonna draw right here. We're gonna do this right here now, or we're gonna go about our business, enjoy our vacation for 4 or 5 days. And it was literally a stare down. And I remember my wife was like, "You're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do that here. You're not gonna do that here, are you?" I said, "It all depends on him. It all depends on him. I'm here. I'm here to enjoy myself. But if he want to go down that route, I can go down that route." And then funny thing about it was we end up bumping into each other in the casino. And John is cool. John was always a cool guy to me. I mean, I knew him in college when I was coming out my first year, and he got me to one of Magic Johnson's Midsummer Night Summer League games, and then the party afterwards. So he always been cool with me because he got me in them parties. And I was just a senior coming from college, didn't know nobody, and he got me in there. So he's always been good to me. So we talked about it, and he said, "Hey, man, we'll leave that stuff, on the court, da da da. We here to enjoy ourselves, and I don't get into all that now. But on the court, I'm gonna try to bust your ass, and I'm like, I'm gonna bust yours too. I'll see you in a couple of weeks, and then that was it, and there was no problem. But everybody nowadays, you got that AAU mentality in today's game. All these guys play with each other in AAU. They've learned, and I even go deeper than that. When you don't go to college 4 years and you don't go to a college where there's rivalries, Duke, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Kansas, USC, UCLA, where these are long-standing rivalries and you're playing on those teams. These kids are coming out after 1 year. They're missing those rivalries. They don't get a chance to experience that, so they don't really know what rivalries are when they come to the league because they never had that. I don't even know if they had it in high school because they were so dominant. So if you got a dominant player on the high school team, what rivalry is there? The dudes, you give somebody 50, there ain't no rivalry. That's called a butt kicking. So, these dudes don't really see that in their friends. They hang out afterwards. We weren't trying to be friends with nobody. We were killers. We walked in the arena. We wasn't out there posing on red carpets. We didn't have sunglasses on. We didn't, we out here posing like we walking on a runway. These kids now, social media is so important to them. What people say about them is so important. How they look, their images. They spend more time on that stuff than they do on their games. And that's what's wrong with this. So one of the problems of this league is like, man, focus on your job, bro. Focus on when guys can't play 82 games at this level, something's wrong. You playing 50, 60 games, and I need rest. I need load management. Okay, you get your load management when you blow, like the other night when the Pistons blew us out. That's load management. Your starters sit out the last 3 quarters. That's load management. Okay, you ain't got to play the last 18, 20 minutes. That's load management. That's how Michael Jordan got load management. That's how we got load management. Michael wasn't missing games. Michael take the day off. Man, Michael would kill Phil if Phil told him to take the game off. Guys did not miss games. They were prideful. And then also you got to remember this too, guys, is that most of us come from inner city. Okay. Most of us come from backgrounds where our parents had to work 2 or 3 jobs to put us in that position to be successful, to be on an AU team, to be able to travel. I know my parents did. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. So when you grow up in that environment, you have a work ethic. You have a work ethic. Your parents made you cut grass and do things to earn money, throw newspapers or whatever you had to do to earn money. You saw how hard your parents worked, 2 jobs, 3 jobs to make ends meet for a family. So when you saw that, and my dad and mom never missed a day of work. They never missed a day. The only time they missed a day of work, when I made them retire, when I got to the league, I made them quit. That's the only time they missed work. Okay. But other than that, they never had a sick day. So me watching this, me coming from that environment, how in the hell could I ever not go to practice? How in the hell could I ever not go to work and come up with some excuse that I don't want to work? I'm making millions of dollars playing a kid's game. And you guys will switch places with an NBA player in a second. If somebody told you if you can switch with, you can switch with Kobe White, but you got to play 82 games. You got to play 82 games. You'd be like, sign me up. Sign me up. I'll play with a broken leg.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality that, we've kind of made excuses for these kids here. We don't hold them accountable. Oh yeah, he's tired. I mean, they got all kind of people here telling them they need X amount of rest. And it's like, oh my God, man, come on now. I mean, let's not reinvent the wheel, okay? Because there's a lot of people had it worse than all of us did. You go back to the 40s and 50s in the NBA when dudes had to work. They had jobs. They played basketball at night, but worked during the day. African American players couldn't stay in the nice hotels that the white players stayed at. They didn't travel the same way. They took buses and trains, and them dudes showed up for 82 games. And then, here comes a new era comes in. You get private jets. You get, staying in 5-star hotels. How in the hell can you not show up and play? And you owe it to the fans, man, the people that pay your salary, that give you these high contracts. You owe it to them, man. Because imagine if you only see LeBron James come to Chicago one time and you saved up all your money all year to see LeBron James play with your family of 5. Cost you probably $5,000-$6,000 that you didn't have. You saved it. Then you come to find out LeBron's taking load management day. You're gonna be
took one last night.
You're gonna be pissed. You're gonna be pissed. Yeah. Your kids are gonna be disappointed because that might be the last time they see him. Because you ain't gonna be able to scrap up $5,000-$6,000 every year to go see LeBron James. You're not gonna be able to do that. And so that's one thing that separated Michael Jordan from a lot of these kids today is Michael understood the importance of people seeing him, watching him, because he knew this might be the only time this family ever gets a chance to see me. You go back and look at the stats. Michael didn't miss preseason games. He didn't sit out. He played 3 quarters, and then he sit out the 4th. He made sure that people saw him play in Omaha, Nebraska. He made sure people saw him in New Orleans who don't get to see the Bulls play or NBA team down there. He made sure in playing these, small venues that we played at that we were trying to give those people a chance to see NBA basketball. Because at that time, NBA is trying to grow its brand. So they got to send, your good teams to places that don't have pro teams. So we were going to places that, there's no pro teams. So Michael could easily say, well, I'm not playing in Omaha, Nebraska today. I ain't playing there. Michael played 3 quarters and gave you 30 points like he was playing in the NBA final. These guys under Larry Bird, these guys Magic, these guys understood the importance of showing up every day and playing at a high level, and for their legacy, for their organization, and for the fans that come out and see them.
Oh. Shout out my guy Julius Howard in the comments. Stacey, what we've been doing with the Bulls on Tap is we've been inviting just regular Bulls fans on so they can have a voice to talk about their team and get their opinions out there. And Julius was on one of our episodes, and he mentioned he started watching the Bulls '87. He's a big Stacey King fan.
Good. Shout out to Julius.
But yeah, prime example, like Morris just said, LeBron sitting out the All-Star game and announcing that he was sitting out the game the day of, where they can get somebody to replace him.
Well, I got my opinion on that, but I'm gonna give LeBron a pass because LeBron's 40 years old. I think he could have went out there. I think he could have went out there and played maybe 15 minutes. But the way the format was, I can see why he didn't go. I can see why he didn't play. Because when you got to stop and go and stop and go, players get cold. They got to stretch again. When you're 40 years old, I'm not gonna go out there and tear my Achilles up playing in this game that doesn't mean anything, and it's not even a game. It's more of a sideshow. So I get why I'm gonna give him a pass on that. But again, he's 40 years. LeBron really doesn't miss a lot of games. He's been pretty much indestructible. So you got to give him respect on that. He's one of the few superstar players that shows up and plays. So I'm gonna give him his respect on that. But as far as the GOAT debate and all that other side, no, I'm not gonna go with that. I think he's a top 5 player of all time. Wherever you want to put him, I don't know. But I think he's one of the top 5 greatest players of all time. I think what's hurt his legacy is that he doesn't when guys come on his team that are other star players. He's played with a lot of star players. He's played with a lot of guys that's helped him win games. And I think that's when people look at, well, you had to have Dwayne Wade, you had to have Chris Bosh, you had to have, Kyrie Irving, you had to have this guy, this guy, this guy. And he's always trying to be the GM. And see, when you're always trying to be the GM, and instead of letting things just happen naturally, like you think about all the talent they got rid of when they brought him there. You had Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, you had Brooke Lopez, you had who else did they have? They had Josh Hart, they had Kyle Kuzma. I mean, look at that talent right there. If Lonzo Ball, if he would have just let them mature, that could have been a dynasty. Look at all those guys. Julius Randle was on that team. Look at how well those guys have all performed that they've left the Lakers. If he would have just been a little patient and said, hey, you know what? We got a lot of talent here. Let me let these guys percolate and mature, and we might go on a run. Because they had a squad. He just wasn't patient, and then it's like, well, we gotta go get Anthony Davis. We gotta go do this, gotta do that. And then they moved to get Anthony Davis. Okay, good pickup, but you weaken your team. You weaken your team by getting rid of all that young talent. Every one of those players that he played with has gone somewhere and been an all-star, or they played an all-star caliber play. So here they are. Think about it. They need a center. They had Brooke Lopez. They had Brooke Lopez there. They had Zubac, who's in LA, the Clippers. Zubac played with them. They've had a squad. If you go back and look at the roster that they gave up when he got there, who knows? It's all hearsay. Might win the championship, but I think they would have had a great chance to win multiple titles if they would have kept at least 5 or 6 of those kids.
It's kind of like Morris, your mic is muted.
I'm curious, Stacey. Like a thought popped in my head as you were talking about, LeBron with his GM moves or whatever. Like you did have the stint where you were coaching. Like, did you ever think about in your post-player career ever like going into like a front office capacity or like doing any of the front office type stuff?
Well, my goal was always be an NBA head coach, and whatever happens after that happens. But my next evolution was NBA head coach. I was winning down at the CBA level, took my team to the championship game, made the playoffs every year, very successful. The other coach down there with me at the time was Dave Yeager, who was Sacramento coach. I think he's a Memphis coach for a little bit. Both of us were young coaches coming up. We were the 2 best coaches, and we were, there was a race for which one of us was going to be in the NBA first. And then I had to step away because my kids were young. And, basketball is 365, 24/7. And I didn't think I had the time to do that because I was missing my kids, sporting events. I was missing all the important things, birthdays and stuff. And that was too important to me because you don't get that time back. You can video record everything, but it's not like being there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You look at the video, oh yeah, I wasn't there. Oh, look at him score a touchdown. Oh, I wasn't there. That kind of stuff. I didn't want to do that. and and plus I got all boys, so I wanted to be a presence in their life as they grow up, because that's when a dad is important, when they start hitting that teenage years. So if I'd been coaching, I would have missed all that. So I decided to step away, and a lot of people didn't know why I was doing it, but I stepped away, and then I was a stay-at-home dad for like a year and a half, and then Jerry Krause came up with this idea, wanted me to do the pre and post game show, and asked me to do it. And so I said, sure. As long as I can stay here, I don't have to travel. He said, no, you don't got to travel. You just do studio work right here. Boom, boom, boom. That's what happened. I ended up getting the job there and doing it. And then, I'm having so much fun, doing what I do. I went to school for this. So this was another transition that at some point, if something didn't work, I could always roll into this. And coaching has helped me become a better analyst, because not only do I see the game as a player, I see the game as a coach. And you hear a lot of that when you watch me on TV and I talk about the game. I break things down systematically so you can understand it. You go, okay, I know exactly what he's talking about. I see exactly what he's talking about. Because I have a lot of people go, man, they should listen to you. You know exactly what you're talking about. So it's funny hearing people say that, and I don't know if most of the people knew I coached before. They just think, oh, it's Stacey, the basketball player. No, but it's Stacey that has been a basketball player and been a coach too. And I know X's and O's, and I have a very high basketball IQ. If your basketball IQ is 100 was max, mine's 100. Okay, so I see the game differently, and that comes from being around other great players. That comes from being around great coaches. Tex Winter. Me and Tex Winter used to sit down when I was running the triangle in the CBA. I would sit down and talk to Tex about, okay, what if we did this? What if we changed this play, made it go this way? And then Tex, well, I don't know. I never ran it that way. I don't know if it worked. He said, why don't you try it out and let me see if it works, and then we'll get some film on it. And I would do things in the triangle that Tex was like, wow, I did not know that worked. I didn't know we could do that. And just different ways to get into the triangle instead of just the basic way that Tex had it. I had different ways to get into it, different sets to get to it. So I'm a student of the game. I love basketball. I love to watch good basketball. I have a nephew that plays high school ball here in Illinois. So I go watch him play, and I get frustrated watching the game because I'm like, my mindset is always on make the easy play, make the simple play. You know what I'm saying? You don't always got to be sexy. Hey, you can be ugly too. You don't always got to be sexy, but watching the high school game, guys just come down jacking up shots, don't read defenses, don't see the easier way to score. Defense don't know where their guys are. I'm just like, oh my god, it's like watching paint dry. Like, if it wasn't my nephew, I'd get up and leave, because I just hate bad basketball. Seriously, I don't. And my head explodes when I'm watching it. Even the NBA game, when I see the team, just out there, just like not understanding what the concept of the game is, my head's about ready to explode.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because my son just started playing middle school AAU, and the first game I went to of his team was getting the ball stolen like every possession, because every pass they're just like lobbing,
Yeah.
like, within 5 feet, and I'm like, chest pass, bounce pass. Why
Yeah.
lobbing
Yeah.
everything?
Fundamentals need to be brought back even at the pro level. I don't think, when I played, the first hour of practice was based strictly on fundamentals: two-hand chest passes, bounce passes, cuts, screening. It was always fundamental before we even got into the physical part of the practice. And we used to joke all the time, like, man, why are we doing this camp stuff? It's like, this is what you 12-year-olds do. You know what I'm saying? Because your ego will not allow you to think that, like, be receptive to learning how to play the right way. And Tex was a stickler for playing the game the right way. He would stop you every single time, no matter what. If you cut wrong, you didn't screen right, your pass was terrible, he would stop practice and get on it, Michael, anybody. And then it made you think, okay, well, I got to take this seriously here, because now you're starting to think like, okay, if I throw this pass, is this a good pass? a bounce pass, or should I throw it pump fake, throw the ball? I mean, he gave us all kind of different angles of fundamentals, and so I'm a big fundamentalist now. Like everything, I've seen it work. I've seen it work. It won championships. So if it had never won, then I'd be like, man, we don't need that. You don't need to be fundamentally sound. But I've been on a championship team where fundamentals was the number one factor every day in our practices, and I know it's like Tai Chi. You know, when people do Tai Chi, they're doing all these movements, and it all looks really fluid. And you go, the first thing you ask is like, what the hell are they gonna do if someone comes after them? Because they ain't never sparring with nobody, they never fight, they never do anything. All you see is all these nice movements and everything. And then when they're forced to use it, they whooping somebody's ass. They taking you down, they whooping your ass, and you be like, damn, that shit works. I'm gonna take this to Tai Chi. I'm gonna go out there and look. I'm gonna go out there and look crazy. I'm out there doing all kind of movements, Bruce Lee movements, flow like water, and then I'm gonna unleash the dragon on your ass.
Stacey, go ahead, Dave.
No, you talking about like you staying in hotels under different names in Detroit because you don't know if somebody is gonna remember those teams and like how him and the Bulls used to do us. You think that's going on kind of with some of the GMs? Because I know you mentioned on your latest episode of Give Me the Hot Sauce, you think the GMs are like in collusion against the Bulls these days.
It seems like that to me. I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems like that to me because, listen, the Bulls had an amazing run, man, amazing run, and then Thibodeau had an amazing run, and Paxson and them had, you can say whatever you want about Paxson and Guards, the GM. They hit some home runs. They struck out on some, but they hit some home runs as well. They don't get the credit they deserve, and so. Teams are not always willing to help teams that are winning or have success, or they something might have happened 10 years ago that it might cause a problem now. You know what I'm saying? Well, you didn't do this for me 10 years ago. You don't know, okay? But what I'm saying is when you see Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso. These guys are all, two of them are all stars. Alex is a big time defensive stopper, a big time player on your team. It's going to be in your rotation. To not be able to get any first round picks for those guys, what else could it be? Because if you put those same players on a different team, I guarantee you get first round picks. Guarantee it. I guarantee it. And I'm not saying that AK and them are to blame for that because you can only do the deals that's been given to you. I just believe that teams make it difficult for them to make trades. It's hard enough in this league to make trades anyway, but because you got to match salary, you don't want to bring back a bad salary, But when you look at Lonzo Ball, it came out that they offered a first round pick for him. This guy, and I love Zoe. I'm glad he's here. I'm glad they re-signed him. But he got offered a first round pick. I don't know if it was a high, low, middle. I don't know, but it was a first round pick. Okay. This is a kid that's been out for 2.5 years. Okay. He's come back this year. He looks like he's healthy. He hasn't been able to play back-to-back games this year yet, and he's still on a minutes count. If he can garnish a first round pick, you're telling me that Zach LaVine, who's having the best year of his career, who's still a dynamic scorer, probably top 10 scorer in the league at his position. Listen, Zach's not the greatest defensive player. We all know that. But Zach can get buckets. And in this league, scoring still is the number one option, a scorer. And DeMar DeRozan, who's a future Hall of Famer, okay? He's one of the top 5 active players in the game as far as scoring is concerned. You telling me those two guys in general can't get a first round pick? Even if it's low, even if it's a low first round pick. You're telling me that teams who have 30-something picks like Oklahoma City and all these that are hoarding picks, you're telling me those guys don't want to, you don't want to give up a pick for those caliber players? Come on, man. Like I said, I'm not saying it's AK and his fault. I'm just saying that teams just don't want to deal with them for some reason because, again, I believe if you put those kids on any other team, they're going to be garnished first-round picks. And if you can offer Zoe, and that was reported by John Hollinger, who's a respected guy, and then KC vouched for it too. So, I mean, it's not fake news. And then right after that, the Bulls re-signed Zoe to an affordable contract. And it gives them protection if Josh Giddey decides that he wants to go somewhere else. Really can't, because he's going to be a restricted free agent, and the Bulls are going to probably let him go out there and set the market and see what he's worth. Hopefully they let him do that. Because from what I hear, rumors, he wants upward to $30 million a year. And, I like Josh. I think Josh is a very good young player and a good piece, but he's not scoring, and he doesn't defend. And if I'm gonna pay somebody 30 million, you gotta be a better defensive player than what he's playing now. And you got to be able to hit 3-point shots, and you got to be a threat offensively. Doesn't mean he can't be, doesn't mean that he can't be, but right now with the sample size that we've seen, $30 million is reserved for guys like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, a Giannis, that's $30 million player. Steph Curry, even LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Luca. That's the level. Those are those guys. And if you don't think that your player is those type of guys, you can't pay him that then, because now that contract's hard to move when you want to come off of it. Because then you find yourself right back in the same situation you had with Zach LaVine, where that contract is like almost unmovable because nobody wants to pay someone's making $40 million, $45 million, on their contract for a year. You know what I'm saying? You got to be practical. And listen, I'm just an armchair point guard. I'm an armchair GM. You just have to be practical where you spend your money. Right now, because I know there's TV revenue is going to be kicking in. They're going to get a boost in that. But you have to start thinking, because remember this, you got Kobe and Io on really friendly deals. They got lucky with that. So now if you're Kobe White and you see Josh Giddey grab a $30 million a year contract, you're going to be like, whoa, wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute. Io, wait a minute, whoa, wait a minute. If he worth 30, I got to be worth X amount of dollars. It's the same thing with Patrick. If you see Patrick's contract, you playing behind Patrick, you say, wait a minute, you're modest in 2 or 3 years. Hey, you paid him $90 million. My numbers are way better than his. I'm worth more than that then. And that's what you open up that Pandora's box, because guys are going to start comparing themselves to what you're paying someone else. And if their productivity is better than that someone else, they're going to want to be paid and compensated either the same or more. And that's where you get in trouble.
Right. Julius in the comments says we need Stacey in the front office. so if the Bulls came to you at the end of the season and said, Stacey, you're the GM, what's the first move you would make?
You don't want to know. I'm not even gonna say it, because I already know. Because I think about this all the time. Like listen, you hear about changing culture. It's always, you always hear these teams about changing culture and all this other stuff. The Bulls was a dynasty. Okay. The culture should have never deviated from the dynasty years. Okay. There's a certain amount of, when you come to this organization and you play, this is a blue collar city. This is a hard town, and this is a sports craze town. That's number one. And guys who come to that door have to understand there's expectations when you come play for the Chicago Bulls. We're going to pay you. We'll pay you what you're worth, but you're going to play a certain way that we want you to play. You're gonna play hard every night. You're gonna compete. You're gonna leave it on the court. You're gonna be respectful of our fans. You're gonna be in the community. You're gonna get out in the community and try to help as much as you can in the community. And you're gonna represent this city, and you're gonna represent this organization and its culture. And it's not changing things topically. A lot of times you got to go down to the core. If you really want to change everything and start over, you got to go down to the core, the source. You got to blow it all up from the bottom and build it, regrow it back up to the way you want it to go. You hear about Spurs culture. You hear about Miami Heat culture. The New England Patriots. That stuff's real. Players know when they come in those places, they got to act a certain way. I'm gonna get paid and everything, but the expectations and the accountability are here. I got to come every night and do a job. Pat Riley ain't playing. That Jimmy situation, hey, Jimmy was like, everywhere Jimmy's gone has been a problem. Okay. Pat Riley's like, okay, you don't want to be here? Get you up out of here. And he's gone. You know, and now he's in Golden State. And it'll be interesting how long before he goes and gets in trouble up there and blows up that team. You know, because there's strong personalities there. You got Draymond Green, Steve Kerr. Curry is a respectable figure there, and I don't think Jimmy will have a problem there. But you never know.
Like, speaking of Draymond, I know Stacey, you said you didn't like the format, but Draymond was kind of going a little in on the rookies, saying that they're not really all stars and they shouldn't be playing in this all-star game because
I
that's
agree.
not how it used to work.
I agree. All stars, all stars. Simple as that. This is not a rising stars game. All stars are all stars. You get voted on the all star team. It's all star versus all star. But my defense to that is them young players gonna come out and play hard. See, that's the difference. The young kids gonna come out there and force these older guys like to compete. So that's a good thing. So, but if you don't want the younger players to play there, then come to the games and take it seriously. Come to the games and say, you know what, like the old days, like, hey, I want to show you who's the best. If I'm Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, I want everybody to know I'm the best guard in this league. And whoever I'm going against, I'm gonna bust your ass. Okay? Whoever it is on the east side, I'm coming at you. If I'm Jason Tatum, I didn't get to play in the Olympics. You know what? I'm gonna show y'all that I'm not the player that they didn't give me any run in the Olympics, that I'm still an elite player in this league. I'm going at whoever's on the other side, LeBron, whoever. I'm going at you. And you start telling these players, I think even some of the older players like Dr. J, Larry, and these guys, they all might need to have a pep talk with these kids, man, and say, hey, man, look, you guys got to start competing a little bit better than what you're doing. If they hear it from the great players instead of hearing it from like just regular people, maybe it resonates better. You hear from like guys like Dr. J, Michael Jordan. You look at old films of Michael Jordan and Kobe. Man, they're going hard. They're going hard because they don't know any other way but play hard. They're not out there joking around. Play Charles Barkley. They're not out there playing around. They're out there trying to show their dominance. We the alphas. There's in an all-star game, everybody's an alpha, but there is the double alpha and the triple alpha. Everybody's an alpha, but there's always got to be one person. There's one lead wolf. We all can't lead. Wolves can't lead. So there's always going to be one player that is going to stand out every single time. And that was always Michael. That was always Kobe. That was always Olajuwon. And I go down the line. These dudes competed, man. It was fun watching All-Star Game. You literally you literally could not wait to watch the All-Star Game. Now it's like, honestly, you turn the channel. Like I'd rather watch Mary Poppins.
Yeah. I thought Charles Barkley on the broadcast last night, he had a good sort of like, he put a good frame on what Draymond said as far as like, Draymond doesn't believe that, rising stars belong in the All-Star game. And it was like the thing that resonates with me like a day later is like when Charles Barkley said like, yeah, I understand what he's saying, but we also can't ignore like how we got here in the first place and why the league is doing all these gimmick kind of things to try to like somehow revive some interest in this. And it's, it's players, like you said, Stacey, like players have to come and compete in this in order for it to be a viable thing.
It's always going to be a players league, Morris, no matter what anybody says. It's a players league, okay? The players have to understand in order for this league to thrive and continue to pump out all these crazy salaries, you have to have a product that people want. Okay, when Michael and those guys are here, and even before Michael, it was Magic and Bird. The game before Magic and them came on, the games used to be tape delayed. The finals used to be tape delayed. Okay, Magic comes in here and just changes the whole Bird. They changed the whole complexion of the game. They made basketball fun. They made people want to see, NBA basketballs. And so then Michael comes in, takes it to another stratosphere. Okay. Then you had, when he's here, then Kobe comes, takes the baton, takes it to another level. And then there was more other players in there. Isaiah with Michael, you had Charles Barkley, Olajuwon. There was a lot of good players in the 90s. Shaq was coming on at that time as a young player. Mitch Richmond. You go down the list, there was a lot of great players. And then all those guys helped carry that mantle of must-see TV. You know what I'm saying? People dying, the Bulls on TV. Bulls on TV. I gotta watch the Bulls. We got Bulls fans and people don't even live in Chicago. We got Bulls fans all over the world. They don't have never even been in Chicago, but they're Bulls fans. You look at rap videos. How many rap videos you see with people with Bulls gear on? You don't see a lot of people with Dallas Maverick rapping when they're rapping. They got no Dallas Maverick hat on. They're not wearing no Miami Heat gear. They're not wearing. If you see anything, it may be the Lakers. But I very seldom see that. But you see that red and black with that Bulls emblem, you see it almost on any rap video, you'll see it.
It's a global brand.
It's a global brand, and it's because of the success that the team had, and that's what I be telling my players is that you guys owe it to the fan base and everybody that's a Chicago Bulls fan. You owe it every single night to keep that brand at the highest level, and you get that by your play. People listen, we complain about our schedule. Like we had a brutal schedule this year, these 1-day trips. And I mean, it was brutal. Worst schedule I've ever seen in my 30 years of doing this. Okay. And we didn't get to play on Christmas. I never did not play on Christmas. I don't even know what it feels like not to play on Christmas. The Bulls didn't play on Christmas this year. We played on the 26th. Ain't nobody watching on the 26th. Everybody in the world is watching on the 25th. Bulls is a big brand. It's a big TV market. No way in the world this team shouldn't be playing on Christmas. But you can't play on Christmas if you don't have a team to play on Christmas. You don't want to go on Christmas. Let's say you go on, the Bulls go on TV and they play on Christmas and get beat by 52 on national television. Come on, man. Ain't nobody paying to see that. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't. I'm changing the channel. I'm changing the channel. I'm watching Shark Week or something. That's just me. I'm over here. Y'all got me. I'm trying to eat and talk to y'all at the same time.
I want to get that's another good segue. You are the point guard because you throw up these lobs, Stacey. I want to ask you because I mean you are really you're a culinary connoisseur with the line hot sauce that you put out. You got to give me the hot sauce. I want to ask you a question about like you growing up in Oklahoma with that hot sauce line. What would you be putting hot sauce on if you're eating food in Oklahoma? Because I think Oklahoma's getting it's from just purely from a culinary standpoint, feels like Oklahoma's getting like more shine, like the burgers in Oklahoma. I hear a lot about that. I actually live in New York, and so like I know it's a trendy thing nowadays, like these burgers from Oklahoma. Excuse me, from Oklahoma.
Yeah, if I was, I mean, I put hot sauce on anything. To be honest with you, I mean, greens. I put my hot sauce on anything. It goes good on anything. But in Oklahoma, I'd say barbecue because my barbecue sauce. We barbecue a lot in Oklahoma, so ribs, chicken. It'd be great on that. I'd probably say fish. I put it on fish. There's we fish a lot in Oklahoma, so it'd be really good on fish. Let me just plug my hot sauce. It's some damn good hot sauce. I'm just gonna tell you. I use a line of you can put that shit on anything. The red hot, I stole it. I ain't gonna lie. I stole the red hot, whatever that dude's name is. I stole his line. I like that. But they bleep it out. They bleep it out. They put that shit on everything. Yeah, I do.
I can attest to this because so do I. I got bottles of Stacey's hot sauce.
Yeah. They be cooking with my hot sauce, boy. We need to have you need to film that on YouTube. Make a YouTube channel of all the dishes that your girl be making with the hot sauce.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Oh Lord, this is good stuff.
Mo,
the seafood boil right now, baby. Oh Lord. I tried to hold off long again. This is the longest one I've ever been on, and my food's getting cold. I say, hey man, I can't let my food get cold, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Yeah, we can go ahead and wrap this up so Stacey can eat.
Oh boy, I appreciate it. I feel like I'm in a sweatshop. I don't even get a lunch break. Y'all just make me work through everything. I'm like, damn, can a brother get a lunch break? Damn.
Yeah. Well, just real quick, we talked about the hot sauce. You want to plug the hot sauce, the podcast, floor is yours to plug. Plug away, please.
Well, my podcast, I love my podcast because I get a chance to hang out with friends like you guys. You know how it is. You get to do it with people you like. our hands. We're on CHSN, so they put us on TV every Tuesday, which is really cool. So we're working with them now. We've gone from being on the YouTube platform to actually being on TV now. So we get more viewers, more followers, and it's a lot more fun. It's a lot more fun doing it every week. With Timmy Whispers and Mark Shanowski, who's a pro. Um, and we have different content every week. I mean, predominantly it's always Bulls. It's always going to be Bulls. It's all about the Bulls anyway. But we talk other sports. We talk, Bears. We talk all kind of stuff. But predominantly it's a Bulls podcast. But we have Bears fans too, and we talk. I don't talk hockey because I ain't gonna lie. I don't know nothing about hockey. Other than the only thing I know about hockey is the fights. That's the only thing I like. If you want to talk about the fights, I'll talk to you about that. We talk UFC. We have interesting guests on all over the place. It's not just basketball guests. We have writers on. We had the first black caddy on the last show, who was the first black to get at the Masters and caddy at the Masters, which is really especially being Black History Month. Having him on there was really cool, and listening to the trials and tribulations of what he had to go through during that time to be able to even walk in the door at the Masters. So if you haven't looked at that episode, go to Give Me the Hot Sauce. .com or go to our YouTube channel. You can see it. It's awesome. And then the hot sauce. I mean, the hot sauce was just supposed to be a novelty thing where we gave to people for coming on the show. And that's where it came out. We were just like, okay, we're gonna give you a parting gift. That's some of my hot sauce, We came up with these flavors. We did all the design ourselves, but it was just really just to give to our guests for coming on the show. And then I said, scrap that, man. I'm all about the hustle, baby. I'm like, I'm about trying to make some dollars. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get the bag. So I said, let's put it on eBay and see what we can do. So we put 50 bottles on the eBay, and they were gone in like 20 minutes.
Wow.
So then I knew right then and there, I was like, oh, baby, we're going to be like rappers selling our demos out the back of a Cadillac, So I was like Nipsey Hussle, baby. I was out there grinding. And so we ended up getting we got into Jewel Osco. That led to getting our product into Mariano's. And we ship worldwide now, so it's grown and it's really good hot sauce. I mean, to be honest, all jokes aside, it's thicker than the regular hot sauce that you get. A lot of the hot sauce you get is water based, and so like ours, you get to it's thicker. You can put it on pizza, you can put it on burgers, you can put it in soups, you can put it in eggs and Mexican food, whatever you want. There's a different hot sauce for everything, and I think the difference is it's thicker and you can taste the bold flavors, and it's organic. Everything in it's organic. So everybody who likes healthy stuff, there's no bad stuff in it, and you can actually see the ingredients when you pour it out. It's real good. I mean, Derek will tell you he had it.
Yep. Put some of the St. Pat's Verde on some quesadillas last night.
Oh, that St. Pat's Verde is any Mexican food, boy, it takes it to another level. Let me tell you something. I had a guy who's Hispanic, and he's an expert in flavors. He said, "Hey, yeah, this is us. He basically said we F with this. The Mexicans, we F with this." I was like, "Oh baby, I got street cred, baby. All right, I got street cred." So he orders it all the time, man. He loves it.
So yeah, hot sauce, y'all.
Get the hot sauce. I think it's like 25% off. It might be more than that because we always have specials on it. Go to givemethehotsauce.com. Order your bottle today.
And then, of course, you're gonna always catch Stacey calling the Bulls games. Right
you
off.
Catch me, baby. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going anywhere, man.
Hey, real quick, let's just make sure we give a shout out to Lord J for the super chat because I think that's the first one we ever had.
Yeah, Lord J, my boy AJ.
Lord J, baby. What's up?
Shout out to him. First ever super chat. There was a 1999 one. Say, showing love to one of my favorite podcasts. Much love to Stacey, Young Jordan.
Appreciate that, boy.
All right, Stacey,
boy. The seafood boy is slamming right now, boy. I'm glad I broke the tradition and said, "Hey, man, I'm going to lunch. Damn the job. Y'all can fire me. I don't care."
You go ahead. You an innovator, like you said.
Right. We're gonna go and let you get up out here and enjoy your bull bag, Stacey.
Appreciate it, boys. Good combo, man. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Jordan,
Stacey.
keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep doing what you're doing, boy.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Definitely will. Melissa's in the comments. She said, yeah, the hot sauce is good. The green is her favorite.
Oh, look at her. Look at her out there. She out there on her hustle game, too. I see you, Melissa. You out there. Don't try to lead a group like Michael Jackson. You ain't got no time for solo artists. You part of the group, baby. Come on now. Come on back in.
She'll be back.
Yeah. She had to go get a bag, but yeah, she'll be back.
Keep doing what you're doing, man. Y'all got a good show, man. I'm glad to come on. I try to come on when I got some time. You know, when young Jordan called me, I listened. You know, so he asked me to come on, man. He's been trying to get me on for a while. So I finally got some time during All-Star break. And so I popped on today. Appreciate you having me on, boy.
Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, appreciate it, Stacey. Thank you so much.
All right, boys, I'm getting ready to finish my little seafood boil. Holler at the player when you see me in the streets.
All right, then.
Shout out to the 235 of y'all who have been tapped in and watching with us live. And
thank you all.
To the next time, like, subscribe to the channel, and go Bulls.
Yeah, go Bulls.